So tonight is the night on TNT. It is the debut edition of AEW Collision and the return of CM Punk. But Punk's return is not the only thing to talk about tonight on Collision as we break things down here and now. The Acclaimed will speak. We have been seeing Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, and Daddy Ass competing in trios action more recently, so it is entirely possible that maybe, just maybe, that the Acclaimed could join up with the House of Black in sort of a mini feud as we progress forward to... Well, actually, I don't think we progress forward to anything because I don't think AEW has another pay-per-view until September. But maybe Battle of the Belts. Maybe Battle of the Belts could be where we go. But what I'm saying is that maybe The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass will be the next contenders for the House of Black in the Trios Championships. Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale team up against the Outcast, with Ruby Soho and Toni Storm being the ones that represent the Outcast tonight. Sky Blue is still the number one contender for Toni Storm's AEW Women's Championship, and Willow Nightingale is the New Japan World Women's Champion. So you have two champions against the Outcast tonight. It would be interesting if this leads to some match between Willow and Ruby, or Willow and Paige, or Willow and Saraya at Forbidden Door, or on next week's episode of Dynamite, or next week's episode of either Rampage or Dynamite. Collision or Dynamite, sorry. With the New Japan World Championship on the line. But you'd figure that tonight Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale have to get the win somehow, some way, with the fact that Sky Blue is going to be challenging Toni Storm on Dynamite the following week for... Unless the match already happened. I might be mixing up... I think I might be mixing up NXT and AEW, but either way, Sky Blue is a top contender, and a win would go a long way in progressing her status as a viable contender to Toni Storm and the AEW World Women's Championship. Also, tonight, we will see the returns of Miro and Andrade, respectively. We have not seen Miro or Andrade in honestly that long that I've lost track since the last time we saw them. We know that Andrade was injured, but we don't know where Miro was, to be honest with you. All we know is that Miro was not in a position where he was willing to compete or able to compete for the time that he's been gone. But Andrade's back in action tonight against Buddy Matthews, and Miro is back in action tonight against likely a local talent, because as it says on the display, all it says is that he's in action, not in action against somebody specific, but just in action. The TNT Championship is on the line as Wardlow defends the title tonight against Luchasaurus with Christian Cage in his corner. The feud between Christian Cage and Wardlow is going to take another step forward tonight, I promise you that. And in some way, shape, or form, I think they may get a bit of a measure of revenge on Arn Anderson, as if you remember, the last I saw from Christian Cage was a little bit of anger towards Double A, so they may try and get a little bit of revenge on Double A, whatever that is, whatever that means. I just hope that AEW doesn't make the big mistake of taking the belt from Wardlow and giving it to Luchasaurus and basically running the same thing they did with Powerhouse Hobbs. Because no matter how many times you win a title, unless it's the world title, eventually it's going to get old. The only thing we haven't spoken about is the main event, the return of CM Punk. FTR versus FTR and Punk against the Bullet Club Gold, Jay White and Juice Robinson. And the return of the reigning, defending, undisputed Ring of Honor World Television Champion, the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe. After 20 years, Joe and Punk get back together in the ring in AEW in six-man tag team action. I can't be the only one that would love to see Punk and Joe back in action one more time against one another in Punk's first rivalry to prove he could still do it. I mean, just imagine if Tony Khan shocks the world and puts Punk within Ring of Honor's ranks and not in AEW's ranks as a way to keep him away from the Elite. But I'm sure I'm not the only one looking forward to this main event with Punk and FTR going up against Bullet Club Gold and Samoa Joe. It is also entirely possible that this could lead to something with Bullet Club Gold against the World Tag Team Champions, because you can forget that FTR are the World Tag Team Champions. But again, this is an action-packed night full of returns and full of action that you're not going to want to miss. TNT, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central, the debut edition of AEW Collision. The Acclaimed will be there. Andrade El Idolo and Buddy Matthews will collide in what could be one of the matches of the night. Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue team up against the Outcast. Wardlow against Luchasaurus in a TNT Championship match. Miro returns in action tonight. And the six-man tag team action, CM Punk, FTR against Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson and Jay White, and the World Television Champion of Ring of Honor, the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe. And all that action will be called by the announced team that will become the best in professional wrestling, Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness. With that being said, that is it for me. Don't forget, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central, on TNT, AEW Collision. The return we never thought we'd see, CM Punk, is back and in action tonight on TNT. With that being said, that is it for me, and I will see you in the next one.